Breaking alert, folks. And when I say breaking, I mean the type that cracks your jaw, spills your popcorn, and makes you shout at your TV like you just watched the season finale of a Netflix thriller. Doc Bill Cosby, the so-called America's dad, the man who crafted a legacy on sweaters, grins, and paternal advice, just got slammed with a lifetime sentence. And guess who was standing right there in the courtroom to witness it all unfold? None other than Ice Cube. But wait, this wasn't some courteous morning. Oh, what a catastrophe moment. Nope. Ice Cube saw Cosby topple to the ground like a Jenga tower in a tremor. And instead of rushing forward to assist, he supposedly grinned. Yeah, grinned. And then, oh, you're going to enjoy this. He tells reporters life sentence. Nah, this man should have received the death punishment. So, what's happening here? Why is Ice Cube tossing verbal bombs at a man already crashing in flames? And what truly occurred in that courtroom before the cameras started running? Strap in, because this rabbit tunnel is darker than Cosby's roster of attorneys. And trust me, that roster is huge. All right, let's just tear the bandage off, because subtlety bolted the building the instant Bill Cosby's legs folded in that courtroom. You already recognize the headline. Cosby gets lifetime. Ice Cube was present. Things got chaotic. But if you assume that's the entire tale, bravo. You're adorably gullible. This isn't just about one guy's sentence. This is about eras of rumors, lawsuits, payouts, and the kind of skeletons that don't just linger in the closet, they throw reckless parties in there. And on sentencing day, the closet door finally got blown open. Now, for the three souls in the crowd who still don't know who Bill Cosby is, let me give you the brief version. He was once America's dad, TV legend, cherished comedian, the kind of man your parents trusted enough to leave watching you while they ran errands. Except, plot twist. Behind the warm sitcom grin was a record of accusations so massive it could be its own Netflix shelf. We're talking eras of claims all denied, all dismissed, all managed quietly until they weren't. Until the truth, or at least the court's edition of it, came stomping in like Ice Cube in a Raiders cap. Imagine this. The courtroom's crowded. Media swarming everywhere, lawyers sweating through $1,000 suits. Cosby's sitting there looking, well, let's just say not like the image on the old DVD covers. And in the back, Ice Cube. No posse, no shiny chains, just Cube in a black suit, arms crossed like he's been waiting decades for this instant. The judge begins reading the verdict. Lifetime sentence. Boom. It's sealed. And right then, Cosby's entire frame seems to surrender like somebody pressed the off switch. Down he falls. Right there before everybody. Gasps, screams, journalists dropping their notepads. And through the bedlam, Ice Cube just stares. Doesn't flinch. Doesn't blink. Then, according to folks seated nearby, he sneered. Yeah, sneered. And the wildest part, after court, Cube unleashes this explosive line to the press. Lifetime sentence. Nah, he should have earned the death verdict. This man stole my buddy's life. I'll never excuse him. Now, this is where the plot thickens. Like lousy stew. See, most people believed Ice Cube was only there as a celebrity spectator, maybe making some subtle gesture about justice. But nope. Turns out, according to our insiders, and by insiders I mean the people in my messages who swear they know somebody who knows somebody, Cosby was supposedly linked to the death of Cube's tight friend Malcolm. Yeah, that Malcolm rapper campaigner. Cube's day one brother. Official cause of death. Unclear conditions. Unofficial murmurs. Someone influential wanted him erased, and now Cube's pointing the blame straight at Cosby. And as if that's not enough chaos, Malcolm's mom was in court too. When Cosby crumpled, she apparently broke into sobs and screamed, "Kia tumni tumna of beta chin Leah." The hall went stone quiet. Except for the cameras, of course, they never stopped rolling. But wait, because this tale has more turns than an M. Night Shyamalan binge. Hours following Malcolm's passing, his wife reportedly drained every shared bank account they held. Every last cent. Why? Well, she hasn't exactly been offering answers. Now, the conspiracy-driven among us, and let's be honest, that's 90% of you watching, are linking clues quicker than a true crime Reddit feed. Was she part of it? Did she suspect something? Or was she simply trying to shield herself from whatever storm was approaching? And here's the twist. According to leaked legal files, which may or may not have been mistakenly sent to me by somebody with awful email protection, there's an active probe into whether those withdrawals were connected to a much larger cover story. If you're wondering, wait, were Cube and Cosby ever even in the same worlds? Oh, absolutely. Back in the 90s, before Cube went full Hollywood, he bumped into Cosby at countless industry gatherings, and let's just say they didn't exactly click. There's an old tale never verified, but tempting enough to last decades, that Cosby once pulled Cube aside at an award show and told him, "You'll never survive in this game with that mindset." Cube supposedly shot back, "I'll last longer than you if I keep my hands spotless." Foreshadowing much? Now the internet? Oh, the internet was feasting on this. Within moments, Twitter was on fire. Hashtags like Yarsh Cube Cold, Barsh Barsh Cosby Collapse, and my personal favorite Nima death penalty debate started surging. TikTok had replays. Instagram had jokes. My favorite one was Cosby on the courtroom ground with the caption, "When you realize Cube's watching you flop live." Some people hailed Cube for speaking truth to influence. Others accused him of stomping a man while he's fallen. And then there were the conspiracy hunters convinced this was all part of some wider Hollywood cleansing. You know, the type where suddenly every A-lister's secrets get tossed out like it's spring scrubbing. Here's the thing. Celebrity scandals aren't unusual. In fact, Hollywood feeds on them like it feeds on overpriced espresso. But what makes this one distinct is how many other figures are quietly tied to it. During the trial, there were several mentions of other persons of interest. The judge even cited ongoing probes. And trust me, when the feds say ongoing, that means they've already got a roster of people tossing and turning through their sheets at night. And while Cosby's sentence might feel like the dramatic ending for Ice Cube, it's really the first act. According to one unnamed confidant who spoke to us on the promise we only call them DJ, Cube's been holding on to intel for years. Names, timelines, proof. Oh, and here's a curious little nugget. The evening before sentencing, Cube was spotted at a late-night diner with two digging reporters and a man wearing what looked suspiciously like an FBI badge clipped to his waistband. What were they chatting about? Was it the weather? The newest Lakers score? Or maybe, just maybe, who's crumbling next? So here we stand. Cosby's behind bars. Cube's walking free, looking like a man who just crossed the first target off a much longer roll. Malcolm's wife is under a haze of suspicion. And somewhere in the dark, more dominoes are stacked just waiting to tumble. Because here's the riddle we'll dig into next. Was Cosby truly the architect or just the first piece traded in a far bigger match? Was Cosby truly the architect or just the first piece traded in a far bigger match? Because let's be honest, in Hollywood, pawns look a lot like rulers until the real rulers get restless and shove them aside. See, here's the detail nobody dares to admit. If Cosby's guilty of half the things people whisper, then yeah, the man belongs precisely where he is right now. But, and it's a hefty but, in my expert opinion as a certified sofa sleuth. With Wi-Fi, I can't help but sense how perfectly staged all this feels. Almost too flawless. You mean to claim that decades of accusations sat gathering cobwebs like your grandma's porcelain dog collection, and only now do they get the blockbuster courtroom ending? Right when Ice Cube suddenly flashes proof. Right when a certain unnamed streaming giant is cooking up a tell-all doc that just happens to spotlight Cube front and center. And then there's the leaked clip. Yeah, you caught that right. Leaked clip from inside the courthouse during recess. Someone, and I'm not saying it was a bored bailiff with a burner phone, but I'm not saying that, filmed Cube pacing the corridor with two men in ties. One of them cracks open a folder. Cube glances down, nods, and you can clearly see one word at the top. List. A list of what? Names, victims, partners, favorite milkshake flavors. Who can say? But the internet's already settled the score. That list is the Hollywood purge list. And if Cube's clutching it, some careers are about to vanish quicker than a failed Marvel spin-off. Meanwhile, the Malcolm storyline is heating up like stovetop popcorn. You recall Malcolm, Cube's brother-in-arms, the one whose death he pins on Cosby? Well, now we've got another layer. Evidently, Malcolm wasn't just a buddy. According to a former contact who spoke under the totally convincing alias Tony from the gym, Malcolm was writing a book, a tell-all. And the buzz is, Cosby's name wasn't the only big one in those chapters. Guess what else? The laptop Malcolm used for drafting. Poof. Gone. Vanished the exact week he did. Police reports? Still investigating. Translation: we know, but we're not touching that mess without backup. And then there's Malcolm's spouse, who's suddenly turned into the most tight-lipped person on planet Earth. She's been dodging journalists, skipping public appearances. And according to one paparazzi, snapshot, wearing shades indoors at PM Classic, I'm hiding something vibe. The cash she yanked from their accounts, gone. No money trail, not in her title, not in anyone's title, just disappeared. Folks online are linking dots like it's their side gig. Some are saying she grabbed the funds to pay off certain people to stay silent. Others believe she's running her own inquiry. My personal favorite theory, she's quietly fueling Cube's mission from behind the curtain. Hey, it's wild, but this is Hollywood wild is the standard. Now, let's discuss Cub's conduct post-sentencing because, oh boy, the man is not exactly laying down. The evening after the decision, he posts a cryptic tweet. 1 down, more to go, that's it. No hashtags, no background, just the digital version of tossing a match into a hall full of fireworks and walking away. That tweet, 2 million likes in under 12 hours. Replies ranging from king to you dropped the roster already to bros about to snap half of Hollywood and as if that wasn't plenty. TMZ spots him the next day stepping out of a black SUV in front of, wait for it, the federal courthouse in downtown Law. Not the criminal courthouse, the federal one. He doesn't answer queries, just gives the cameras a little half grin and keeps walking. And you know what? That signals either he's trolling us or the man's cooking something massive. Meanwhile, inside the prison, Cosby's reportedly not doing so great. Word from an unnamed corrections officer who may or may not have been shouting through a fence when they told me this says Cosby's been rejecting meals, keeping to himself, and mumbling about a treachery bigger than anyone knows. A treachery by who? The courts, his attorneys, or maybe people he believed were on his side. Remember that roster Cube was seen scanning at? Gossip has it. Cosby's name wasn't at the start, which begs the question, if Cosby wasn't the prime target, who was? And did someone serve him to the wolves just to get the heat off themselves? Public sentiment split right down the center. On one hand, you've got people praising Cuban like he's Batman with tighter beats. On the other, you've got the due process crowd claiming Cub's running a personal grudge, not a crusade for fairness. Then, of course, there's the wake-up sheeple bunch convinced this is all scripted, that Cosby is actually on an island somewhere sipping pina coladas while a stand-in takes the fall. Hey, don't laugh, stranger stuff has happened, and through all of this, the most under-discussed part of the tale is what's forming in D.C. Word is certain legislators are quietly poking around asking questions about entertainment business cover-ups, and the systemic shielding of influential individuals from justice, which is just politicians speak for. We're considering about dragging more people into this chaos. Now, if you've been around long enough, you know how this usually rolls. A couple of hearings, a few fiery sound bites, and then nothing. But this time feels altered. Maybe it's Cub's relentless drive. Maybe it's the fact that social platforms won't let the tale die. Or maybe, just maybe, there's actually enough grime here to bury a whole red carpet, and I can't get past the detail that keeps biting at me. Why was Cube even permitted in that courtroom during sentencing? Those seats are like golden. Tickets you don't just wander in because you feel like it. Someone wanted him present. Someone wanted him noticed there. And if you think about it, what better way to send a signal to whoever's still on that roster? Imagine you're one of them sitting at home seeing Cube in the front row watching your friend go down for life. That's not just presence. That's a warning shot. By now you've probably realized this isn't a finished case. Not even close. This is the opening sequence, the part in the film where the first villain gets taken down, and the hero, if that's what Cube truly is, starts gearing up for the larger fight. So, what's next? Are we about to witness another public takedown? Is Cube going to keep dropping names until the whole industry is rattled? Or is someone about to try and shut him out before he gets too far? Whatever happens, one thing's for sure. If there's a bigger play here, the next step is going to make the sentencing look like a practice rehearsal. And that's the thing about practice rehearsals. The real performance is always louder, rougher, and way more perilous. Because just when you think the dust has cleared, the ground starts rumbling again. Literally. In this case, TMZ releases grainy surveillance footage of what looks like Ice Cube meeting with an unknown man in a parking garage at the man's Wearing a hoodie, carrying what could be a laptop case, and Cubs glancing over his shoulder like he's expecting Batman to drop down at any second. The bag swaps hands. Cube nods. They separate. The clip cuts. Internet sleuths lose their collective minds. The theory's endless. Some swear that's Malcolm's missing laptop finally reappearing after months in the dark. Others think it's the notorious list. And then there are those who think Cube's being framed, that this footage was purposely leaked to paint him as the villain before he drops whatever revelation he's been building. And speaking of revelations, Cosby's appeal? Oh yeah, didn't think we'd land there, did you? Word on the street is that his defense team's already submitting paperwork to contest the sentence, citing judicial prejudice and pretrial errors. In other words, the classic Hail Mary. But here's where it gets tangled. One of his lawyers was spotted having lunch with someone tied to the Malcolm mess. So either these two scandals are about to collide like a messy Fast and Furious sequel, or they've been linked from the start. Meanwhile, Malcolm's spouse finally ends her silence. Not in a courtroom. Not in an interview. Nope. On Instagram, live at 3:17 a.m., dressed in pajamas and sipping what she swears is herbal tea for 10 straight minutes. She rambles about truth being a risky currency and not all debts are paid in cash. Then she suddenly cuts the stream after her phone buzzes twice in her palm. No explanation, no farewell, just gone. The comment section erupts. Half the viewers believe she's dropping hidden messages. The other half think she's having a collapse. And then in the middle of all that chatter, one comment sticks out. Check the marina. No username, no profile photo, just those 3 words. Cut to the next morning. Police boats sweeping a private marina on the coast. No one will say why. No accusations filed. But guess who gets caught watching from the pier? Hands in pockets wearing sunglasses, even though it's overcast. Yeah, ICE. Cube. Why now? The story's shifted from courtroom drama to full-blown conspiracy saga. Media outlets are pushing 24-hour coverage. Talk shows are analyzing Cubs' every facial twitch like it's the Zapruder reel, and the partner who else's eyes on the list is trending globally. Then it drops. Cube finally breaks the silence. No cryptic post this time. No smirk to the paparazzi. He sits down for an exclusive discussion, not with a big network, but with some indie YouTuber whose channel usually reviews dusty VHS tapes. The guy asks him straight up, "Do you have a list?" Cube leans forward, stares straight into the camera, and says, "Yeah, and it's shorter than you think." Boom. Internet chaos. That's all he says on it. No identities, no figures, just enough to launch everyone into a frenzy. Reddit boards explode. Twitter spaces flood with armchair investigators. Celebrities start posting vague prayers up notes, which, let's be honest, is Hollywood code for "I'm nervous and my attorney told me to say this." And in the middle of that madness, Cosby's prison call records surface. Multiple calls to a single secret number traced back to a prepaid cell bought in cash 2 weeks before his arrest. Guess where it was purchased? A shop 3 blocks from Malcolm's old apartment. Now, we're not saying this is all linked, but come on. Even the folks who think the moon landing was staged are like, yeah, that's shady. And just when you assume the web can't get more twisted, surprise the federal probe we mentioned earlier. It's not just about Cosby. Sources claim subpoenas have gone out to at least 4 other well-known individuals in the entertainment field, all tied to money irregularities and misconduct spanning several decades. And here's the twist. One of those names supposedly rhymes with Bennifer Slopes. You do the math, the narrative flips overnight. Cosby's no longer the lone villain. He's part of a larger, nastier puzzle. Cube. He's not just the guy throwing shade from the sidelines. He's either the whistleblower of the century or the most deliberate player in the game. By the time the week wraps, we're left with more riddles than answers. Who else is falling? What's truly on that list? Was Malcolm's death the spark that lit this fire? Or just another casualty in a battle we didn't even realize was raging? And that's where we stop it for now. Because in a saga like this, the next headline could drop any instant. And when it does, you'd better believe it's going to make everything we've seen so far look like the intro act. So here's my question to you. If this list is legit, do you think Cube's doing this for fairness or vengeance? Is he the champion in this tale, or just another Hollywood figure with a brighter spotlight? And what about Cosby? Is this the final scene in his saga, or just the start of a chaotic, high-profile appeal that's going to drag everyone else into the muck with him? I want to hear what you think. Drop your theories in the comments. Call me reckless. Call me a genius. Just don't sit this one out because trust me, this isn't a story you want to be catching up on after the fact. And if you think this was insane, hit that like button so hard it files a police report. Subscribe for more breaking truths because when the next bombshell hits, and it will, you're going to want front row seats. Until then, keep your eyes peeled, your phones ready, and remember, in Hollywood, nothing is ever what it seems.